What's going on, Military Cashflow family? Today, we are going to be sharing with you our worst deals and some of the lessons learned while executing those deals. Mike, you want to kick it off?
Okay, I'm gonna kick it off with this is gonna be the worst deal in history of life, guys. All right, so when I was starting out, I got a couple deals knocked out, and then what we Five Pillars was kicking off. And what we wanted to do at Five Pillars was kind of create a turnkey model, meaning a client can come to us, they can buy a property, get it rehabbed for them, and then get a tenant in them, and they can sit back in California and do nothing. But we didn't want to own the management company, the contracting company, so forth and so on. We just wanted to do the transaction and create the model. So I said, you know what? I'm going to buy a turnkey property from a reputable turnkey company. And that way I can see how the process works, and then we can just rip off and duplicate. So we went ahead and did it, or I did it. And the first property turned out well. I bought it for 77,000, something like that. It was written out for like 790. I had to put the 20% down, whatever. Got it rolling, everything worked out well. And then they brought me another property. It was a duplex. Now, and I went and I bought that duplex for like 90 or 95,000. But here's the thing. When they deliver these properties, they're not renovated yet. So they say, here's the before, we're going to do these renovations. After these renovations, we're going to rent it out. Long story short, come to find out that they never did the renovations. They never did the renovations. These so-called tenants that were going in, I don't know who they were. I don't even know if they were real people, but payments were coming and then payments stopped. When the eviction moratorium hit, that's when everything hit the fan. So when the eviction moratorium went, they kept telling me, hey, we can't collect rents because blah, 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 state laws. Fast forward, they're like, somebody's $5,000 back on payments. And I've been paying the mortgage consistently, but nobody's been paying the rent. All right, so that's that, right? Then I find out that man, there's so much, guys. So then I find out I had the city call me because these property managers were the direct point of contact for all utilities and all appearance and code, like if there's a lawn code or whatever, the property management company was first point of contact. The city called me and said, hey, look, you're back on your water bill. You owe some money. I'm like, well, how? I thought it was vacant. Somebody's not paying rent. And why didn't my property management call me? They said, I don't know, but your water bill is $4,000. Bro, stab to the heart. I've lost like 18 months of rent. I've been paying this crappy mortgage. So we talk about, I'm just like, I'm pissed, right? So I'm trying to get rid of these things. I say, hey, look, can y'all buy back the properties from me? Y'all gypped me already. Can you just buy them back? They looked at it and I was like, look, just give me, I think at the time I was asking for like 130,000 or something like that. Or 140. I don't remember. But they were like, well, we'll give you 30,000 for this one that you paid 70,000 on. And I was like, cool, well, just give me 60,000 on the one I paid 90 for. It was like, we'll give you 45. I'm like, you know what? Okay, fine, I'll take it. I just want to get rid of it. They put me on a contract for 30 days. On the day of closing, the attorney still hasn't gotten the paperwork. They haven't contacted me. They called me the day after closing and say, hey, man, we can close it, but we need to offer you now 30. I'm like, bro, y'all now trying to strong arm me. So I push them to the side. I go find somebody that wants to buy them. But now we got to do property inspections. I get the property inspections back. There is the duplex, not renovated at all. It looks like a complete abandoned property. Mold, rats, roaches. Nobody's lived there for years. And then on the bottom duplex, on the bottom unit, there's a note from the property manager that was dated. Oh, God, I don't even want to tell you what day it was, but it was really, really recent. After all this blew up, I said, hey, forget y'all. I don't even want your money. After that date, they put a notice that said, hey, tenant, you're $5,000 behind. This is your 5-day notice. What you mean?
Wait a minute, you got so wait, were these properties in Fayetteville or were these somewhere else?
Nope.
I'm curious, like
they're completely out of state. They
that's
were.
Why I was about to say, it was like, what? Yeah, okay, go ahead.
Yeah, completely out of state. Yeah, if they were, that's a lesson learned. I'm okay with long distance real estate investing. I really am. But they played me, and so now I learned some lessons from that. But it was all the way in Illinois. It's in Illinois, and like I said, they were doing good at first. Then they stopped, and that's when I was able to pull back the curtain on their ass.
You think
So
they were
long
like,
story.
you think they
Yeah,
were
go
like
ahead.
buying or robbing Peter to pay Paul? Basically, like they would sell, like you, like they sold you that, or you bought the single family, right? And they got probably a cash lump sum from that. But you said
Yeah,
at one point the duplex was paying you money, right?
yeah, it
So
was.
so I'm assuming they maybe took some of that money and started paying you down just
Yep.
to
And faked
so
a tenant in there, and something had to happen because there was no
wow,
way that was
man,
inhabitable. You know what I mean?
wow.
So now I'm trying to negotiate to sell it. Bottom line is, no, the utilities, after I was starting to do this inspection outside of the property management company, I found out that I owed over $12,000 or almost $12,000 just in utilities, electric and water on both the properties. This is
Jesus
insane, bro. So
Christ,
I'm going to
man.
be at a loss of close to $100,000 or more if I can get these damn things offloaded. So that by
So
far the worst deal ever.
do you end up having to go through lawsuit or anything like that?
Man, I tried. But here's the thing. All the attorneys in the area know that company. They know them. They know that they're shitty. But for some reason, they have some sort of corporate veil protection around them that the attorneys are like, look, man, there's a statute of limitations thing. This has been brought up to for them several times. We're kind of out of our scope. Our hands are tied. We can't really help you.
Is the
I'm
is
like,
the
so
owner
the,
is the owner someone famous that like that I would know? The reason why I asked that because this sounds very very familiar. Like a person that moved to like the dude just moved like not too long. Yeah.
you're thinking it's not him. You're thinking of
Okay.
Morris Invest, aren't
Yeah,
you?
yeah. That's what I was
Yeah,
because I know that he operates in Illinois as well. So or he did.
yeah.
So
Unless he bought the company. It's not Morris Invest though, but it's somebody who operates just like his ass. And
Jesus, man.
they're shady as shit. And if y'all want to know their name, I've already left several bad Google reviews, better reviews, Yelp reviews. So you guys can go see it. Be sure to read reviews. But if you guys want to know, just hit me up in the comments. I got no issues fucking telling you, man. They played the hell out of me, and then they play me every time. And on top of this all, guys, I've reached out several times and I've asked them via email and phone calls, hey, can we get something started? They never pick up my phone calls and they never respond to my emails. Not the property management. They never fucking respond. I got all the email traffic to prove it. But the acquisitions team will reach out offering 20,000 a property or whatever. But that's it. So
Jeez,
yeah, I got
man.
no issues sharing it.
Yeah, that's absolutely horrible, man. Mine doesn't even mine pales in comparison to that. I thought like that's
That's what like you want me to start, man.
yeah,
I'm coming for the I'm coming for the jugular, bro.
you got that's crazy, dude. That's absolutely wild. But I mean, that's for so how deep were you? You said this is just when you started the five pillars. So that was what, like 4 or 5 years ago, something like that.
Yeah.
How many deals had you done prior to that time?
At that point in time, I had done 10, maybe 15
So,
deals,
so
something
you
like
were
that.
so you were already somewhat experienced. So the reason why I bring that up is because um we it doesn't matter how experienced you are. People there are people out there that are like looking to kind of screw you over, right? And you have to do your due diligence for the listeners, right? You have to do your due diligence regardless of how many deals you've done, and go above and beyond because there's people out there that are just trying to do you wrong. I mean, I fell into the same situation on my like fourth deal, not anything that bad, but like just shady contractors, right? And I had to
Mhm.
make a video about it. And this is after already dealing with contractors and all that. I still got screwed over. So it happened. It's going to happen. It's a risk that will eventually happen. The more and more deals that you do, you're going to come across somebody shady. You're probably going to take a loss at some point. But yeah, man, those are just lessons learned, man. Big time.
Yep. Yep. That's what it is. So what's yours, man? What's your worst story?
Yeah. So, it's not even really a story. I mean, I've had shady contractors and things. I was just looking at it from the perspective of actual money. It's not like just bad. No one did anything horrible. It's just my calculations weren't really right for what I
Mm.
thought, and it helped shift my mindset. So the deal I'm not going to talk about is my primary investment. It was my primary home. Excuse me. My very first primary home that I bought it with the intent to rent it out later. If you guys listen to one of the older episodes, I kind of talked about my plan. And when I originally came in, I had planned to just buy a primary home every single time I PCS. And if I did that, then I would have somewhere between 5 and 10 single family homes. Well, after this, after PCSing the first time for my primary home, I realized that that's not going to work for me because I think we bought the home for like, I don't know, like 130,000. This is back in 2013, like 130,000. It was like in a nice part of Fort Stewart. It's like Richmond Hill, Georgia, for those of you who have been around Fort Stewart. But bought it for like 130K. It's a nice little home, nice little starter home, 3-2, I think 1,500 square feet or something like that. And I thought that it was going to rent for a lot more that for the time period that we held it. So at the time we bought it for 130, I think it was only renting for I lived in it, of course, but I knew at that given time it was only renting for like 900 or $1,000 a month, right? So but I assumed, all right, if I live in this thing for 5 years, rent's going to increase and it's probably going to get to, I don't know, $1,400-$1,500. That didn't happen 5 years later when it came to it, right? And then also there was a lot of breakdowns coming at the tail end of that 5 year span. So on year like 5, I was told I need to replace my AC and like all these capital expenditures, right? So I could have held it as a rental, but I would have lost money basically, and I would have had to fix all these big capital expenditure items, right? So the reason why I say it's my worst deal is because had I kept it as a rental, or even when I sold it, I didn't really make any money either way, right? I kind of pretty much broke even. So, I mean, in a nutshell, that's really it. Mine's very, very less complicated. It's very, very, low threat. It's literally just, hey, it wasn't a great deal because it was a primary residence. It was a use asset. I bought a primary residence thinking I was going to turn it into an actual investment, and that can work. That can definitely work. And Mike's done it.
Yeah.
Mike's done it, and hundreds of other people have done it. But for me, and for what I wanted, it did not really mesh well or fit my investment strategy like I originally thought it would. So I mean that's pretty much it in a nutshell.
Yeah. So what's like your one lesson learned, or like moving forward, if you were to ever buy a primary with the intent to invest it, like what's the one thing that you would look for differently than what you did before?
Yeah. So if I had to I basically did do this over again, right? I just, when I buy primary residences, I'm not really going to count on them as a true investment or something that's really going to make me a lot of money. I guess that's really the only difference. Like I just bought a primary residence again here in North Carolina, and I mean, if it rents out, we'll see what the market looks like, by the time we move, 3, 4, 5 years from now. But I'm just not I'm just not counting on this to appreciate. I'm not counting on this to be able to collect a significant amount of rent or anything like that. It's just going to be there, and likely I may or may not sell it. It depends. But I'm just not counting on it. Before I was counting on it. Like I was like, yeah, this will be an investment. This will, I'll make $400 a month. This was my thought. I will make $400 a month at least cash flow on this. And I just don't have those same assumptions with a primary residence anymore. So that's really it. Mine's, like I said,
but it's smart though, because a lot of times people, yeah, you're right. You're getting a different benefit when you're living in it as a primary. Exactly. So when you do get cash flow on the end, it's just like, man, it's like icing on the cake. When I moved out of my my first house ever, I was living in it, house hacking it. When I moved out, my entire intent before I really got into investing was, yo, look, as long as I can break even on the mortgage. I think I lived in it for like 3 years, maybe less, maybe 2 years. It doesn't matter. My thought was like, hey, look, if I can just cover the mortgage for 2 years or the same amount of time that I lived in it, well, then I'd make my money back and I could sell it. That was my mind. It's not exactly right, but that should be the mindset, absolutely, when you're approaching it, man.
Yeah, no, but that's a good point that you bring up right there, because I didn't think at that time, I wasn't thinking about vacancy. I wasn't thinking about like turnover and what that would cost and things. But now I factor that in. Like we bought this place. If I keep it, I want to make sure that I can still, basically manage the mortgage by the, and if it gets rented out, then that's great. But if I end up keeping it, I want to make sure that, I have the reserves to pay for 6 months of the mortgage payment and all these other things, right? I think the good thing about primary residence, especially with military folks, is if you buy it, right? If you hold it for like 10 years, you're going to win in the long run. You got to give it time, right? And that just wasn't my mindset with that first single family home. Like I was thinking, all right, in 5 years, I'll be able to cash flow, $400 out the gate. That just wasn't the case, right?
Yep.
But if you hold it for 10, 15 years, like I'll tell you now, if I would have kept that same house, it's renting right now for like $1,700 a month, $1,800 a month, and my mortgage was only like $800 or $900. So yeah, I would have been cash flowing. But a lot of that has to do with the market right now and that specific niche market. But yeah, if you're going to do it, if you're going to have a primary residence and you're going to try that plan, like, hey, every single time I PCS, I'm going to hold the house, make sure you know what it rents for right now. I would be very, very conservative on how much you think it's going to really bring in, right? And make sure you have the reserves and to hold it for a long term. And then three, just make sure you hold it for a long period if you really want to see some true appreciation value, or you want to see some true cash flow, because it's going to take time for the rent to slowly increase in whatever market you're in. So
Absolutely.
yeah, man. But that's the worst deal for me, Mike, and I'm definitely giving you a trophy right there, man. That's
It's part of life, man. I mean, I'm upset with them for playing me and lying to me and all that other stuff. But I'm upset with myself for not doing more. And at the time, I thought I did all the due diligence. You know what I mean? I talked to people, got references. I had somebody so-called walk it for me. It is what it is. It's lessons learned. So, moving forward. Yeah.
So wait a minute. You said you had references and you had someone walk it for you. Like, were they just shady as well, or like how did that work?
Yeah. So the references were given to me by the property management company, and the person who so-called walked it was somebody at the property management company coordinating. You see what I'm saying?
And
so it's like,
they worked hand in hand. The people that you bought it from recommended the property manager and the property manager. So
exactly. Well, the person I bought it from is the property management company. Okay. It's like that's a true turnkey company. Does the purchases, the renovations, the property management all in-house. So they got acquisitions, a renovations, and a management team. And yeah, man, it was just a spider web of deceit. Not, but it's all good, man. I mean, moving forward, I know to go outside the sources. I know to go to forums. I know to go to bigger pockets. I know to just ask people, what's the real deal? And I know what kind of questions now really to kind of pierce it.
Was that your first out-of-state property?
And that was. And that was the first out-of-state company I played with. But good news, I went to a different out-of-state guy that I was connected through a mutual friend, no affiliation, always a good thing. Saw his whole thing, and he was just starting. And his whole thing was like, look, man, I know this area. I know student housing like the back of my hand. I've just started a property management company, but right now I'm just managing mine and a handful of others. I said, well, look, man, my buddy, he showed me the checks. He's getting paid. So show me what you got. He was like, yeah, you could buy this one for $30,000, put $30,000 in it. We could rent it out for X amount. I think it was like $1,500. I said, well, so I can put in today, I can put up $60,000. I get $1,500 a month. He was like, yes. I was like, let's try it. So boom, we tried it. No lie. The renovation took maybe 2 months. And then he was like, oh, it takes maybe another month or so to book because it was student housing. That was the secret. And he leased out every room. And then boom, that check came in. I said, damn, man, you got another one? He was like, yeah, here goes one right here. 30,000, 40,000. It rent out for 1,800. Hell yeah. And I was like, what else you got? He was like, I got a 5-unit over here. Technically, it's a 10-bedroom. It can rent out for this much. So I got another 15 units. Another 10 units. I got another 10 doors, several other bedrooms, put it that way.
Yeah.
But that I'm cash on those 3. I cash flow $7,500 a month. Cash flow. You see what I'm saying? And guess what? It's still in Illinois, right? Which is crazy, but a whole different city, whole different company. So out of state is it can be a good thing. It's a viable option for sure. You just got to do your due diligence, man.
Yeah, big time, man. That's an awesome story. So for you guys out there, those are some of our lessons learned, some of our worst deals, and hopefully you guys can get something out of that and take some lessons learned yourself and apply those to your deals as well. With that said, this is Dan Wynn.
And Mike Glassby
Signing off.